the we're back energy, down laying head facing into the sofa.
Zach ruptured his liver and might be dying.
And we're back.
Oh God, that's the most down on compression I've ever seen. Let's just say Zach, Scottsdale, Arizona, and Dom Mazzetti's birthday.
Zach went wide open throttle for an entire weekend. So anyway,
welcome back.
Welcome back.
The show that's not a show. What are we talking about today, Brian?
Well, we went to Luftgekühlt, which is, like, for those of you guys who don't know and haven't watched the other things we did on Luftgekühlt, it is basically a car show for air-cooled Volkswagens, but it's like really well curated. I did a whole podcast on how Luftgekühlt is the future of like car shows. Anyway,
You said Volkswagens.
did I say Volkswagens?
I mean,
did I really?
they kind of are.
Honestly, at the end of the day, 911s are just spicy Volkswagens.
They're spicy Beetles.
You sure about that?
So, did I say Volkswagen?
You
You did, yeah.
Man, woo! So anyway, went to San Francisco, went up there for Luftgekühlt, and we brought the pig up there because we had a big announcement.
That announcement is Leah Block is going to be driving the car up the hill. Not a time run, an exhibition run, but we decided it was Ken's wish to bring the Hoonipig to race at Pikes. And then we decided to show the car off at Luft.
And if you're not up to speed on the Hoonipigasus, it's a project that we started last year with Mobile One, and the whole concept was that we were going to thrash and build the ultimate Pikes Peak car. And unfortunately, that thrash came around to bite us, and we had a problem with the car the day before we were supposed to be running Pikes with Ken. But the thing is that over the past 6 months, we've done a lot of work to sort of fix all the issues. So BBI has been steady working on that, fixing a bunch of the problems we had, and it's actually like a good streetable running car. So while we were up there, we figured let's go and street drive the car around San Francisco on a bit of a Gymkhana tourism.
For those that know, San Francisco was Gymkhana FIVE, one of the most iconic and our favorite Gymkhana films ever.
It was the one.
It was the one.
It was
and
the one.
Actually, even crazier than it being near SF, the actual location is at Mare Island, which is an old naval shipyard. But unfortunately, it was under construction and there wasn't a lot of opportunity. And while leaving, a location scout said to us, maybe you guys should try San Francisco. And the rest is history.
So anyway, here it is, the show, the Gymkhana Tourism. Enjoy.
We are here at Mare Island, which is an old naval shipyard, for Luftgekühlt 9 and the Air and Water Show, where they finally let the water-cooled people in. This is kind of a perfect combination of the two. It is a classic Air Silhouette 911, but it's got a water-cooled engine. It's actually crazy to be here right now with the Hoonipigasus here in this building, because I think unbeknownst to Jeff Swart, who parked it here, Ken and I came and scouted Mare Island right before we did Gymkhana 5. This was supposed to be one of the locations in Gym 5. For logistic reasons and a bunch of other things in construction, we ended up not filming here, but we were in this actual building. Like, I remember, I have scout photos of like this wall, how cool the light looked. We were supposed to come in and out of those doors, rip around through here. Anyway, we're back here, so we figured, you know what, let's do a little Gymkhana 5 tourism and kind of go to all the sites, bring this thing along with us, because after all, things street legal. And I gotta say, being back here at Mare Island and checking this all out, and actually they fixed a bunch of the stuff and a bunch of the problems we had last time, I think like we should come back here and shoot another Gymkhana film. I don't know, Leah, you down? So it seems like the Hoonipigasus has a bit of an aura, because like literally everyone is giving it like a full 100-foot stand back right here.
Want to check out the show, fool?
Yeah, let's go check out all the cars here, and then I guess we'll head back to San Francisco. So this is one of my favorite things here. Real off-road spec Cayenne. It actually ran the mid 400, and now I'm gonna go to Marketplace and try to buy another Cayenne. SF and do some proper Gymkhana tourism. Here we are in San Francisco, and behind us, the lovely Bay Bridge. That is right, in Gymkhana 5, we drove over the Bay Bridge, not the Golden Bridge. Everyone thinks it was the Golden Bridge.
I know, the Bay Bridge.
This was probably one of the most like, I can't believe this is happening moments while we were here. And I think when everyone watched it, like how do these guys go from abandoned airport to shutting down a bridge? And
Part of a city.
yeah, and the story of that actually started in Mare Island, because we were there in Mare. We didn't really love the location. We were talking to Location Scout, and he said, you know, I was working on the Avengers, which was supposed to be filmed here, got filmed in Miami instead. And he said, I think I could actually shut down the Bay Bridge if you guys were interested.
Yes.
Yes, and we drove right here. We parked right next to Red's Java House in that lot there. We came here, we said, we can shut down that bridge, like up there, we can do that. We're like, well, that's where the film starts.
Yeah.
So that's where Gymkhana Tourism starts today.
So is that what you're thinking?
We're gonna start the day, we're just gonna break every rule. Well, technically, the pig is street legal.
She is street legal. She's insured, licensed, registered.
Pre-smog, so I mean, it's
Pre-smog.
probably more legal than most cars in California.
Who is this? Ready? Watch the screen. Who is this?
Today, got my good friend, Betim from BBI.
Spill up and over the windshield.
That was fun.
Oh,
Fine, doing really well.
set a record. Second overall, first in class.
Congratulations on a 1-1-3 finish at Pikes. So we're gonna start the day by heading back over to Treasure Island, driving the pig in, same route that we took with Ken Block and the Fiesta back in 2012. And then we're gonna do a bit of tourism. We're gonna bounce around. We're gonna go check out the Vallejo jump, the drift jump, Twin Peaks, downtown.
You know this car can be a daily, right?
You're gonna prove that today.
We're gonna see if that happens.
Yeah. First of many factoids right now. This lot that I'm looking at was supposed to be where we were gonna film all of these like very specific Gymkhana moments. Because in the early films, Ken really still wanted to make sure we had like a donut box and like a figure eight setup and like all this
keep
really,
it adhering.
yeah, and adhere to like what Gymkhana Grid was, right? Like adhere to all of that.
Yeah.
Reminder, Gymkhana Grid later this year. Tim's gonna be racing, he doesn't know it. So like we wanted to do that, and this here was like, oh, it's super rad. The Bay Bridge is in the background. And the day we showed up to film here, we came here to scout, and it kind of looked like this. And the day we showed up to film here, the Norwegian cruise line was docked here, and there was like 5,000 people just like unloading with like bad sunburns and like just like with their Bermuda shirts. We're like, oh, we're can't
back.
film here now. And I like went to locations and like, you got to figure something out. This sucks. We're not filming here. And they were like, what about filming on a barge? And that's how the whole Enders happened. They went to go get a barge, which we actually tied off down here. And then I said, is there any chance we could like bring the barge back out to water? Like, well, we got to return it anyway, so it's got to go back out to where it came from. But like, can we drive a car on it in the bay? I'm like, sure, as long as you like, it's up to you. It's like, does anyone know a scuba diver? And that's how the Ender, the credit scene for Gymkhana San Francisco happened. So anyway, we'll go jump in there, enjoy this little Gymkhana tourism. Ken, follow next to the officer until your first position. this is the last of the first sequence of shots we shot in downtown. So when we were here with Ken, we actually shot this piece with the trolley after we did this like grueling reverse entry 270 around a cone. It was this like really difficult trick that we'd actually practiced. Like, so it was one of the few things, we almost never pre-practice things, but we actually pre-shot this, right? And like, we like went, like had an open field, tried it, like finally like we nailed it after like 10 takes. Ken was like, cool, I got it. And then we got here, and the actual metal from the trolley in the background was causing the car to spin out every time. Oh man. Because as he was coming across it. So we were here, like we did it multiple times, and like it was just like so tiring. And afterwards, we were like done getting that one done. I was like, all right, well now you gotta go do like a figure eight around moving trolleys. And unfortunately, like the trolleys can only slow down to a certain speed, and the trolley drivers were like, "Hey, we gotta get back to work. We gotta figure this shit out. We gotta get it done." So we came in here, and Josh Kalis was oddly here shooting a skate park down in Embarcadero.
I'm a professional skateboarder, and I love cars.
And me and him were like texting. He's like, "Oh, I'm in San Francisco too." So this is your little factoid of the moment. We actually stuck Josh in the trolley. So he's like just a random dude.
Little Easter eggs.
Yeah, little Easter egg. That was kind of like one of the early Easter eggs. Like the films became really well known for having Easter eggs, but that was like an early Easter egg where we weren't like, you know, when Deerdick and Ellis and those guys were in 2, it was very obvious it was those guys, right? But like this was like, oh, let's hide him and see if anybody knows.
That's cool.
He's
I'm gonna
there.
go rewatch that now.
I mean, this is one of the most iconic streets because it has this, you know, the big hill that you can see the trolley line all the way up. And like we just owned the street for like 4 or 5 hours. We were on Battery for like a ton. There's like the chicane section through Battery, and then you came out, you did the reverse 270, and then this right here was the big trolley. So yeah,
There we are.
yeah, we're gonna see whether or not this one gets pulled over today. Race cars on the street. Bad ideas. Right here on Stockton, right here. Alright, so we're here at the big jump, the one where you can see Alcatraz in the background, the one that was the thumbnail for the whole video. We jumped it twice. And the first time we jumped it, I think the speed was like 51 miles an hour or 52 miles an hour we had to jump it at. And Ken jumped it and it was like perfect. He like took off the top of the tabletop and he landed right at like, you know, the sweet spot on the tabletop. He hit me back, he said, how'd it look? I was like, it was okay. I thought the car was gonna be higher. So then the second time he just sent it and went like an extra 10 miles an hour and landed like midway down that road. And that was the take that, you know, from the film. And it was cool, like we did the bullet cam effect, like the little array on the GoPro here. And that was like something that, you know, we had sort of played with a little bit in Gym 4, but this was just such a cool opportunity to do that with. I want to say this was one of the first, if not the first, moments we filmed when we were here in SF. So it was so crazy, and there were so many people here. And I just remember sitting on the stoop, like me, Ken, Ron, Matt, we all were just here like the whole day because it was just so much setup. We had to put a condor up like 130 feet out that way, and we had to get access to, you know, different people's apartments. And, you know, it was my first time really seeing what it was gonna be like to shut down a city and film in it. And it was so much hurry up and wait, and we did all of that waiting here. And it's crazy, I haven't been here since that day, and it's like nuts. We're here now 11 years later. It's crazy to just to come back here and kind of like see it all. Such a perfect natural obstacle here. To me, the drift jump was my favorite jump in the film, but this jump was the one that really, I think, kind of just set it off. I don't think people were used to seeing cars jump like this, you know? Seeing it on like a public street was just nuts. All right, so this is really trippy. So we were here 2012, we filmed here. So we were here 11 years ago, right? And Chris here was nice enough to let us use his apartment window to film the down scene from the jump. Because one of the big things in production when you film in cities is you can't really put a crane everywhere you want it. Obviously on this downhill we couldn't put a condor, so we had to find somebody's window. And he just happened to like see us here and come out and be like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I was here. Like, how crazy. Did you just see the car?
Yeah, I just happened to be driving home, and I saw the car carrier, and I was like, oh, somebody's taking delivery of a fancy car because it's a nice carrier.
Right.
And I peeked inside and saw the Porsche, and I was like, that's amazing. And then I saw you sitting over here. I was like, I gotta go. It's fate. It's fate, right? I gotta go say hi and see the car. And
I was just saying, I remember like we were here, I felt like all day. We just sat here like all day hanging out.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, time to go.
Yeah.
We jumped it twice, and then we were like, okay, it's over. Like,
Yeah.
Ken jumped it once. I remember he landed like right there.
Yeah.
The second time he landed like all the way down where the parking starts to go the other way. And then this ended up becoming the shot that was the thumbnail for the video.
Yeah.
You can see.
You're cresting
It was
over
like, this
Alcatraz.
is the iconic shot for the film.
Yeah.
You can see Alcatraz in the background, and it's like such a classic. Well, hey, thanks
Yeah, I
again for
appreciate
letting
it,
us to
man.
use it with film. Oh, here, quick question for you. What was your favorite Gymkhana of all time?
The France one.
Surprising. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting you to be like,
San Francisco, of course. Sorry, did I miss it?
No, I like that. No,
take
it's
it.
good. It's good. I want that. I guess now we have to go to France and do some tourism again.
There you go.
Hands down, this is one of my favorite Gymkhana moments. We had this idea, we wanted to do a drift jump. Right, we'd seen drift jumps, especially stuff like Ebisu, but we had never seen something that was like a proper jump. Not just like lightening the car, but like actually getting air. When we found this hill right here, 22nd Street, we said, all right, this looks perfect. So if you just come up, kick it sideways, slide the hill, jump, you know, slide it, collect it, bring it back out. In our heads, it sounded simple. We knew that in rally cars you could do it, right? For years, right? Rally car drivers have been going sideways over jumps, right? Sending it in, you know, completely sideways through the yump, land, yump, 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 back and forth, right? I mean, that's like what Finnish drivers were famous for. The question was could we do it here? Could we do it on concrete? Would the car roll? Would it even look good? And this was one of those moments where we thought we were gonna get this much, and Ken gave us this much. I mean, he just sent it here, and we were not ready. Dude went, we thought he was gonna land here. Instead, he ended up landing all the way over there. We weren't ready for that. We didn't have our cameras in place, and he actually just sailed right through the frame, and we never saw what happened on the other side. When we saw it, when we looked around the camera, but we didn't realize that like he had gone almost to the edge, almost clipped the K-rail. So we're like, all right, sorry, but you gotta do it again, which I think he was pretty stoked to do because it was a pretty rad setup. And that to me, just like watching the attitude of the car, like kind of huck itself almost completely backwards, coming up over it. At one moment, like the ass end of the car was higher than the front. The whole thing was just like broke my mind. And I think for most people, the Vallejo jump, which we were just at, was kind of like the big pinnacle moment. But I think for those of us who love rally or like who watched drift jumps before, this was just something never done before. It's just so insane to me, like what the car was able to do. And the reality is since then, we have never been able to remake it on that level. The closest was jumping in front of the train. That was a great shot, but we've never been able to find such a natural situation. We've tried to build drift jumps, and those have never been as successful. This location was just the perfect drift jump. It was the perfect amount of angle up mixed with, and I think I want to say, I don't remember, but I want to say it was like 19 degrees. It was like the angle up or something like that, but like it was the perfect amount of angle up with like the right amount of roll off, and then enough space that you could send it, collect it, and then like the corner out. I'm sure there's a bunch of those here in SF, but in other areas we just haven't been able to replicate it. Another thing, and a fun little Gymkhana factoid here, we actually used this corner for 3 or 4 moments, right? So drift jump, yep. We also used it for the figure 8, half up the hill, down the hill, right? So kind of like we use that area there. And then we turned the cameras around, we went down this way, and this is where we shot the Travis Pastrana moment, right? The end of the block all the way down there. And then, when we did the figure 8, we also did the figure 8 with the jump down. The thing you have to realize about San Francisco is we had never shut down a city before, right? We didn't know what it was like to reroute bus routes and do things like that. We didn't even know that stuff was possible. I mean, now I take it for granted. We've shut down massive, highway interchanges and everything. But here, we didn't know we could do this till we got there. Every step of the way, I was waiting for the police to be like, okay, that's it. You guys gotta go home. You've done too much. This is too crazy. Instead, they just gave us high fives. Here we are at the end of Gymkhana 5, well, the end before the end, the finish line at the famous Twin Peaks, which has been used so much in car commercials and everything else, but I think Ken made it most famous by this particular slide right here. And our intention was to bring the Hoonipigasus up here and actually drive this corner, but when we got here, we realized the road was closed. They no longer allow vehicles to drive here. So, and actually, this part here sort of inspired another thing we did later on, which was Gymkhana, but yeah. This here is the end of the film, and a cool little factoid here is that there was a guy waving a flag over here who was a San Francisco legend, Jake Phelps, who we also lost a few years ago, who was the editor of Thrasher magazine. I don't think anyone really knew that. We had Jake come all the way out, put on that stupid jacket, and then we have the flag here. Yeah. I will say though, let's make a great hill climb one day. If you know what I'm saying.
So if you haven't noticed yet, we've been doing our This vs. That show in Australia. We have the Australia special rolling out, and we got a whole slew of other ones coming out with some absolutely savage cars from Australia. I mean, wouldn't you say?
It's the most Australia lineup we could possibly get. And most importantly, if you haven't been following our Project Car channel, Hoonigan Project Garage, we've actually been building a lot of cool stuff over there. My U36, the LS, runs, currently going through it. Ron's Evo runs, currently going through it. And Brian has been making a lot of good progress on his VR6 powered AE86. And, oh, Garrett King Jr. finished his LS swap R34 Skyline.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Zach's doing a really cool build. He's trying to build the ultimate This vs. That car because, quite frankly, he got mopped a couple times on This vs. That.
Mopped?
I mopped you up in the S14 versus C10. Oh, cut to it.
Okay, first
Cut
of
to,
all,
hold on, they're still cutting to it.
regardless, coming back. We're coming back hard. Very hard.
Deep.
Rock hard.
Hard.
Deep.
Perfect.